Moving right along, let's go ahead and turn solo mode back on. You see now we just have her body. I want to go ahead and take her arms out of the equation because it's going to make it a lot easier to work on these arms individually away from the body so I can get in here and see what's going on. So I'm going to hold down Control Shift, go into Select Lasso, and then let's go ahead and take this arm right here. So I'm just going to make a broad selection over that entire arm. Doesn't matter if I grab any parts of the legs here because what that's going to do is allow me to see the arm, and then if I want to clean up this visibility, I can hold down Control Shift, and as I start to drag, if I hold down Alt, that's going to turn it from green to red, and now I can go through here and get rid of any pieces that I don't want to have selected. And the pieces that I don't want are, like I was saying before, the cloth pieces here, so right around her shoulder, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And then her knee, I don't need, and then her body right here, I don't need. So just, again, using your visibility in conjunction with just rotating in ZBrush, using your navigation, you can go ahead and clean this up pretty quickly. If I'm not quite sure how much of this I want, I can hold down Control Shift and drag, and that'll invert that selection. And you're going to see, oh, I've got a whole bunch of her chest here. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of this, and then Control Shift drag again in the document to invert that selection. And now I think I got a little bit of her cloth here. All right, so that cloth goes down and around, and then her skin starts here, and then I've got her hand. I think we're in pretty good shape. I might have a little bit much of her knee, so I can go ahead and hold down Control Shift and Alt and get rid of that. So now I have these two parts. If I want to, I still have polyframe with fill turned on. If I hit Control W with nothing masked, it will group whatever is visible on my screen. If you keep hitting Control W, it'll just give you a new polygroup. So now I can hold down Control Shift and tap, and that'll bring everything back, and then I can do a group split if I wanted to. But instead of doing that, if I hit Control Z, you're going to see while we have this visible, just go over here again to split and just do a split hidden, and then that'll just pop your arm off into its own subtool, and then you've got her body on this subtool here. Now, while we're doing all the splitting, if you go back down to our Dynamesh settings, you're going to see we still have the Dynamesh settings that inherited it from the previous tool that we split that from. So we're not losing any settings. All we have to do is re-Dynamesh this, and we're back where we started with each individual piece. We got one more piece. So hold on Control Shift, grab this arm here, and then Control Shift Alt to send this back to the other selection, which is the invisible selection. Now, if you hold on Control Shift and drag, that'll invert that selection. So it might be a little bit weird to kind of get used to, but you know, the basics are we have something visible, and then if you want to get rid of what you don't, if you don't want to see, just hold on Control Shift and Alt, and that'll throw it over to the other side. So now I'm going to grab all this cloth right above the arm. And then again, hold down Control Shift Alt. And I think we're in pretty good shape, so I'm going to hold down Control Shift and the drag to invert that selection. And I think that'll work. This piece is a little bit weird. We might end up just deleting this little raggedy piece right here. I don't think that really goes to anything. So I'm going to go ahead and do a split hidden right now, and that's going to split the arm that's not visible into its own subtool. So now that we got this body here, if I turn off solo, you're going to see if I have the body selected and I turn on transparent, you can see, well, yeah, this piece that kind of goes down her face and then up into her hands, that's just kind of a weird piece of geometry. So I'm going to turn off transparency, go into solo mode, and if I want to see a little bit better this piece, I can go down here to our display properties under tools and hit double, and now I can see both sides of the geo, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, this is just a garbage piece of geometry. So I'm just going to hold down Control Shift and Alt. And then with this hidden, since I do not need it anymore, geometry, modify topology, delete hidden, and now that geometry is gone. If you've watched any of my live streams or any of my Intro to ZBrush series on my YouTube channel, you're going to see I use my custom menu a lot. That's because I don't necessarily like going over here. There's a lot of stuff in here that I don't use a lot, so having a custom menu set up, just go to my Intro to ZBrush Part 2, and that'll walk you through custom UI and custom menus. But for now, while I'm just going over the basics, we'll stick over here in these menus. I do have a little floating piece of geometry here. I can go ahead and isolate it like I did that last piece, but another option you can use is if you do have a lot of, like, say you had a bunch of crumbly little crumbs of geo just kind of scattered through here, and you're like, well, I just want this main part of the body. I don't want to have to go through and like find all of these little floating pieces of geo. So what you can do is, with your main piece of geometry, just grab a little piece of it, do Control Shift A, which is basically doing the hotkey for visibility grow all. If I hover over there, you can see that's Control-Shift-A. Then that will grow everything that is vert welded to that piece. And then if I hold down Control-Shift and drag, anything that was not vert welded, that like kind of garbage floating geo, is isolated. So now, again, if I bring it, hold down Control-Shift and tap to bring everything back, Control-Shift, a little piece of this one, Control-Shift-A, I know that anything it didn't grab is just floating garbage geo. Now I can simply go through here and do another geometry, delete hidden, modify topology, delete hidden, and I'm nice and clean. So I'm going to go out of solo mode here, and I'll turn off polyframe. So now, again, we hold down Alt and tap. We've got her arm, her head, both arms, her body. I think I'm probably going to leave the rabbit alone. I think just kind of cleaning up this area in here will be good enough. So next, we're going to be going over dynameshing these pieces and cleaning them up individually.